Hey everyone, in this short video I'm going to show you how to create from scratch a knowledge graph. So let's start by creating a new domain by using OntoBricks. So first of all, here I'm selecting new domain, start new, and I'm going to put some information like the name of the new domain. So that's going to be my demo domain here, sorry, version 1. So I can put some description here. Typically, this kind of description is going to help when using the MCP server behind the scenes. So I'm going to use Sonnet as the LLM for all the agent that's going to run behind the scene and go. I can save it like this. So simply like this. So now the domain is created. What I need to do is to add some information to help out, in fact, the agent that's going to generate the ontology, which is the first step when it's about creating a knowledge graph. So first of all, I can load some metadata that are typically managed and stored by using Unity Catalog here. So it's running here, this catalog. So all my data are typically located in customer. So I'm going to load all the table that are available in this schema. So I don't need this one, this one. So here I'm just importing the metadata that are typically attached to these different tables. So when it's metadata, it's typically about table descriptions and all the column description that are available in Unity Catalog. So now OntoBricks is typically uploading all of this information and they are available here just for information. Here I've got nothing, but if I don't have any information, I can typically add those information directly by using OntoBricks. So that's for the first step. Second step is an optional step. If you have kind of documentation you would like to leverage here, you can typically add all of these different documents. Okay, these documents are available here in this PDF, for example. Now, okay, I'm gonna upload the PDF file now. And typically what this PDF is doing is just describing all the business interaction between all the entities relationships. So this is roughly just a description of my business here. So now everything looks ready. Just save it like that if you need it. Okay, and I'm gonna jump here directly to generate. So that's the first step to generate, in fact, the ontology. I can leverage now the table description, just the metadata I've imported, the document which describe my business interactions. And for example, let me add, for example, a very simple one, ontology. Okay, I can add more guidelines just to help out, in fact, my agent to create the ontology. So what's happening now? The agent is running behind the scene asynchronously and is gathering all the information coming from the metadata and coming from documents. So it's going to help the Databricks AI function to leverage all the contents from these documents. And based on all of this information, is going to create and build out from scratch an ontology here. So we can let the agent working at this stage. The ontology has been created automatically. So I can add like icons. I think it's better to see all of these different elements, entities, and relationship by using icons. And I can also change the layout like this, a very simple way, just also by changing different things, the layout. So I have different entities that are typically leveraged here. So I can, for example, agreement, I don't have this information. I can typically remove this information. I don't really need that. I don't need this one as well. Okay, I can leverage now more information. Interesting. So yeah, this one is not necessary at all. So I can typically remove that. And so you see there's different information here. When I have these dotted lines, that typically means there's inheritance from the party entity to customer. So customer and agent typically inherits from the party in terms of attributes and things like that. So this is roughly what I would expect as an ontology. I can modify, change, add some attributes here if the attributes are not provided at all. So I can typically leverage the metadata here So maybe the email was not provided, so I can typically add this email here and yeah, change it like I want. So now the ontology is created. I'm going to jump directly to the mapping. What I would like to do at this stage is to map all of this different information with the real data that are stored into Unity Catalog. So you see, when I'm jumping into the mapping, everything is red. And what I can do here is typically map uh, one by one, or I can map all of the different entities and relationship by using AutoMap at this stage. So here, if I'm clicking on AutoMap, what's going to run behind the scene is an agent, and this agent is going to take, in fact, all information coming from this ontology and coming from, the different attributes and columns in the tables, and it's going to create this relationship between the ontology information and the real data information, meaning all the metadata and table information columns and things like that. So it's going to generate the SQL statement accordingly. And after that, it's going to map all the different SQL columns with all the different attributes as it needed for creating the business outcome for it. So you see here it becomes green, sorry. This is the SQL that has been generated automatically here by the agent. And also the mapping is now available directly to see, in fact, if the attributes really maps with the different columns that were typically leveraged by the SQL statement. So I can change this mapping, of course. So here I can do that one by one, but also I can do that by using bulk mapping. So if I'm clicking here on the bulk side, so I'm gonna map one by one all the different entities and relationship. And of course, that can take several minutes to do that. So let's wait a little bit. Here we go, jump down. Now we can see that all the different entities has been mapped, all the attributes as well has been mapped, and the relationship also. So everything looks correct. I can just go back to the designer and see that, yes, everything looks green, which is absolutely awesome. So now let's go to the final step, which is typically building out the knowledge graph directly by leveraging this mapping. So we can see here on the build menu that we have the 3 different steps, and I'm gonna just click here on build. And now what is going to happen is OntoBricks is going to gather all the information coming from the different SQL statements that has been created just before N. And based on all of this information, is going to create a pipeline behind the scene to populate, in fact, the lake-based database just to provide all of this information available as triples in lake-based. So this is exactly what's happening behind the scene. So we are leveraging here table synchronization objects into Unity Catalog that typically leverage behind the scene Lakeflow pipeline. And so this pipeline is now running behind the scene, populating these different tables directly into Lakebase. So here we go. That's going to take several seconds or minutes. It really depends here on how much data you have to collect and load directly here in the Lakebase. So while everything is working, you can absolutely navigate through the application, look at if there was some different build already made, the audit trail. So you can typically navigate and go through all the different activities you have been through during the design. So it looks like everything has been created in green. So this number of triples has been loaded. Now I can typically leverage all of this knowledge graph directly by jumping into the knowledge graph here. And for example, if I'm making here a search like that, I'm gonna take here, okay, let's do this. And this is exactly the result I would expect. So it's centralized on Jacob Martin. So Jacob Martin has different relationship with this request, different calls. Here you can leverage and you can navigate through the tree, the knowledge tree. So here there's a call which has been handled by an agent and so on and so on. So if this is exactly how you can typically create it without doing any technical stuff. You can create your knowledge graph just by leveraging all the information you have collected through Unity Catalog in Databricks. Thank you very much and hope to see you soon. Bye.